So you're Adrian Dan Pop from Romania, and you're attending a peace forum in Schengen, Luxembourg.
Yes.
And you spoke this afternoon about what was the topic that you?
So it's like a project. It's like an initiative called Addressing Europe Unfinished Business.
Addressing Europe's unfinished business. And what specifically is this unfinished business that Europe hasn't?
Well, so we started from the Schuman's declaration from 1950.
Okay, what happened?
Who said that Europe after the horrible war of Second World War, Europe needs creative efforts in order to achieve peace. And also we saw that this lack of creative efforts during the 1930s, interbellic time, led to the Second World War. So this was his one of his points.
Do you know specifically what was that they didn't do that led into the Second World War? What specifically is that they failed?
Well, let's say after the First War, the development of the countries in Europe, like France and England and Germany, was not going hand in hand. So
what do you mean going hand in hand? What was
like
happening?
In 1930s, French got very rich and got very well from economic point of view, and was kind of stubborn and was holding on the status and pretensions, while other countries could not keep up.
Okay.
So because of this tension and no common and no creative efforts to make everyone benefit from the peace.
Distribute the wealth a little better. So
Yes,
there was concentration of wealth.
The other
in one
countries
country.
focus on other ways, and that's how leaders as Hitler came up, and that lead towards the Second World War.
So you're saying that economic prosperity of some countries, excluding the prosperity of others, created this tension that brought into the Second World War.
In a union, in a cooperation,
Yeah.
if not everyone benefits from it, then it's
Inequality that's
inequality.
gonna resent some
will
people.
appear some tensions, and
right.
those tensions will destroy the project of the unity.
Okay, so it came to Second World War, and now you're saying we should readdress that issue because otherwise we're heading to another war.
We are heading towards a less stable, less peaceful time. You never know what can happen, and if we don't approach seriously these issues. And Europe, it's not a continent without wars. 11% of the world wars, because of the identity and self-governance, happen in Europe.
When? Now?
Even yes, now.
Oh, where in Europe are happening now?
After the Berlin Wall.
Yeah.
So in the last 25 years, more than every year, like in average every year, one war. So every year a war.
Okay, give me an example of where
like
has been one.
Bosnia and Serbia, like Turks and the
Cyprus and
yes. So let's call it armed conflicts.
So there'd be 10%.
Kosovo. Let's have other. So many examples. Yeah.
So Europe has been at war after the Second World War. It has continued.
Yes, but the two biggest enemies from 1920s, let's say like that, France and Germany, they managed to find a solution for a peaceful existence of both countries.
And the solution is what?
To this cooperation, and the first step towards this cooperation was the Coal and Steel Union, which allows both of them to give up the borders, to enter on a free market, and to use in common the resources, which also by doing this kind of prevented both of them to to build up on the military.
Okay. Oh, now, creating this small club, which is a free trade between you and me, are we excluding somebody else, and therefore the tension is going to disappear between you and me, but it's going to start with other countries that are part of our free market? Like,
Yes, and Schuman's vision was to have step-by-step plan, not a grand plan. So not building a union once in one moment. Was approaching it step by step. So first step was coal and steel union. Then other countries joined one by one, and this is one of the statements while signing the European Union agreement, is that any other European countries may join the European Union. So it's not a closed group, it's not a closed deal between just few countries.
Oh, it's not just Europeans, it's for the whole world?
The European Peace Project is for the whole world.
But the free market is not?
And also the free market, these ideas are, because they are part of the peaceful world. But the European Union itself, it's for European countries.
Yeah.
In perspective, it has a vision of some kind of federation of more united future of all the countries in Europe.
So your proposition now is that Europe should develop more free trade resolutions among the European countries and share the wealth more equally, so there will be peace.
Yes, and the economic issue, it's not the only direction that this European plan should work. The values that are on the base of the European Union should be approached more often. We should return to the values that stand on the creation of European Union.
And what is these other values? What are they besides economic?
Like freedom, like human rights, democracy, and
Freedom of what? When you say freedom?
freedom of movement, freedom of
movement
people, of
one country.
movement of goods, of people, human rights, of like real justice, and all this.
Yeah, it's basically erasing the borders.
Erasing the borders.
People,
Yes.
if people are going to move from one country to, as they do apparently now, from one country to another and seek employment in any country of the Union, and also the goods and services are moving freely, then that's what's happening right now. So what do you want to add to it?
The immigration is an issue that we want to address.
Immigration of
Immigration in the sense of movement, like
movement
inside
from people from
inside
within?
between the European Union and also outside, from outside the European Union, like from
That's
Northern Africa. From
okay. So you want to include people from
Yes.
outside of the Union?
Because from our point of view, it looks like something which was not really approached and not really analyzed before. So now people go back to it, and this is an issue that raise a lot of nationalists and a lot of extremist movement in Europe, because of immigration and because of this. So we want to address this issue.
Ideologically, you think that the inclusion of immigrants and not just capitals and jobs, but people's movement, the freedom of people's movement from one country to another, should be expanded to the world, not just to the European Union?
Yes, as we are now on the World Peace Forum, so we believe in a world without boundaries, without borders, without
Right.
like, to share this world together as equals.
Right. Are Europeans, some Europeans having difficulties with accepting ethnic groups from outside of the European Union to come in here?
So the different cultures. It's always a difficult matter, and it's difficult to cope with new people, with new mentalities, with different backgrounds, and it's a learning process for both of them, both sides. I guess it's a process that goes in the direction of coexistence, but it's very easy to take it up and exploit it by politicians and nationalist parties, because it's very easy to point the others and to complain for the others without any solutions.
Economically, if we're going to share equally, one of us is going to lose for the other one to gain. So if we're unequals in access to any resources, immigration, if more immigrants from a poor country are accepted here, the locals that are doing well are going to suffer economically by sharing with these new immigrants, right? So that when you are mixing societies, you're always going to have losers and winners.
The idea is to help the other societies to find ways of development and build up on the different situations in different countries. And those who come in Europe or in other countries, they contribute to the development of the country.
True.
So they don't just get for granted anything, they are part of the development.
True, true. But there is the perception that they're losing. It's not necessarily what happened, but it's the perception that
Europe has a social responsibility, and it's based on this social responsibility that covers pensions, covers health systems, covers different basic needs of human beings. So in that sense, if there are more people who need assistance, then okay, the costs increased, but it's not the main issue. We don't see it as a main issue.
Some people do. So anyway, you are trying to develop this institution that is researching into how to integrate all countries of the world, basically, not just European Union. So this goes beyond the European Union. What would it be called? Worlds United?
Not necessarily as a world union or something, but could be a model for other parts of the world.
Okay.
To build local unions, to create local peace agreements, and to develop
trade agreements.
Agreements.
Do you think that trade agreements in general have benefited European people? Because there are corporations that benefit from trade agreements, and then there's people that suffer and people that win. What's your perception of the creation of the common market? Has it been beneficial for most people or beneficial for specific corporations?
If we ask people, we may think that outsourcing different activities, it's a bigger problem than opening the market for other companies. Also, the competition in the capitalism, it's one of the most important values, because this competition should create better products, lower price, and to serve new needs. So this is the game of the capitalism of the.
Yeah, but do you think that has benefited most people? How about employment? When you buy products from another country, what happens to the local employment?
If nobody stops the citizens to buy products from their local producers. So if the relation between the local company and the customers it's good and developed on a truth basis, then everyone should benefit from.
Yeah, good. Well, thank you very much for talking to us, and we'll wish you well in your project. All right. Thank you, Adrian.